Lady Colin Campbell joined Dan Wootton on GB News to discuss the host's question of whether Prince Harry has exposed himself as a misogynist in his autobiography Spare. The author, who has written several books on the royal family, disagreed with the label of misogynist being placed on Jeremy Clarkson following his controversial Meghan Markle column, but instead criticized the Duke of Sussex's comments about women in his book. Lady C referred to Harry's mention of Pat the matron who worked at Ludgrove School when the Duke of Sussex was a teenager. He refers to her as small, mousy, frazzled with tired eyes. Lady C told Dan, "Harry, though he was young at the time, but I have to tell you I've been around children all my life. Some children are cruel, others aren't. There is no way that any child I would regard as desirable would be mocking a matron who had scoliosis." Read more. Also, what is so insensitive about Harry's comment is that his cousin Eugenie had scoliosis. It cuts very close to the bone and shows that Harry rarely has control over his mouth or indeed being a decent person. Eugenie was diagnosed with scoliosis and underwent surgery to correct the curve in her spine. Lady C continued, "I think it's outrageous he is abusive. Harry is very abusive. I don't think there's any way you can compare Clarkson's allusion to Game of Thrones. It was cack-handed. He should have mentioned it was an allusion, he didn't, but that's an admission. Harry has admissions and they are admissions of somebody who's cruel and unfeeling," Lady C claimed. "I'm afraid you don't develop feelings when you get older. You're either born with a heart or without one. That's my take on it." In his memoir, Pat the matron is described in a particularly unpleasant manner. Harry wrote, "The matron I dealt with the most was Pat. Unlike the other matrons, Pat wasn't hot. Pat was cold. Pat was small, mousy, frazzled, and her hair fell greasily into her always tired eyes. Pat didn't seem to get much joy out of life, though she did find two things reliably satisfying: catching a boy somewhere he wasn't supposed to be, and shutting down any bouts of roughhousing. Before every pillow fight we'd put a sentry on the door. If Pat, or the headmasters, approached, the sentry was instructed to cry, 'Gave. Latin, I think?' Someone said it meant, 'The head's coming.' Someone else said it meant, 'Beware.' Whichever, when you heard it you knew to get out of there. Or pretend to be asleep." Meanwhile, Harry and Meghan recently issued a statement dismissing Jeremy Clarkson's apology. The statement said, "On December 25, 2022, Mr. Clarkson wrote solely to Prince Harry, the Duke of Sussex. The contents of his correspondence were marked private and confidential." While a new public apology has been issued today by Mr. Clarkson, what remains to be addressed is his long-standing pattern of writing articles that spread hate rhetoric, dangerous conspiracy theories and misogyny. Unless each of his other pieces were also written in a hurry, as he states, it is clear that this is not an isolated incident shared in haste, but rather a series of articles shared in hate. Dan Wootton airs on GB News on weeknights at 9 p.m.